I'm James Randi, and I can promise you that in the next 30 minutes you're going to meet some very interesting people who claim that they can do amazing things. So let's begin our search. If you will, step with me through the looking glass. I need a volunteer, and let me see. This is a fine-looking bunch here. We've never met before. How do you do? Your name is?
Richard.
Richard, join me over here, if you would, please. That's your chair. They don't give me a chair. And, Richard, we're going to do a bit of an experiment I think might prove to you that sometimes the closer you are to things, the less you see. I have here a handkerchief in my pocket. You can see that plainly. Watch very carefully. I'm going to cause this handkerchief to do something rather strange. Now, as you know, I'm a trickster and a conjurer, but strange. I'm going to make it... Wait a minute. If you tie it in a knot, I found, Richard, that kills it. And I'm tying it in a tight knot. I think it's dead. I don't hear anything. Do you hear anything?
No.
If you hear something from your handkerchief, you're in big trouble, you see. Watch very carefully. This is what we call sleight of hand, you see. I take the handkerchief and I do this with it, and it vanishes, and it ends up here. Of course, it's the only other place it could be. You see, that's what they call sleight of hand, and conjurers do this sort of thing all the time. Now, I'm going to give you a second chance. Ready? Watch very carefully now. A 1. It's very hard to tell. This is very hard to tell. A 1, a 2. Can you tell which hand it's in? It's hard to say, isn't it?
It is hard to say.
Yes.
I'll go for that one.
You'll go for that one. Well, that would happen to be wrong. Now, you won one, and you lose the other. You see, actually, you lose this one, too. It's a very strange thing. Now, watch very carefully. You folks in the audience and at home, of course, can see what I've done with the handkerchief. But this gentleman, because he's so close to me, has a difficult time of it. Now, I'm going to make it reappear on top of my head. As you can see, that's very dangerous because it's very slippery up there. Watch very carefully now. 1, 2, and I'm not ready, and they know I'm not ready, you see, but you don't know how ready I am not. Watch very carefully. The next time I say that third number, it will be on top of my head. Ready? 1, 2. You weren't watching. It was over on the floor all the time. 3, I told you not to take your eyes off the top of my head, didn't I? Richard, thank you very much for coming. Let's give a big round of applause for Richard. What you've just witnessed is proof that it's very easy to be too close to an event to be able to judge it properly. So watch out. Now, the eternal question, is there life after death? Tonight, we'll be meeting people who say they can look back into the past, reach into the future, and move between life and death. First, is this a picture of a dear departed soul? We begin our quest with a lady who sketches what she believes to be portraits of spirit people. And these are examples of her work. Please welcome my first guest, Coral Poles. And this is Stephen O'Brien, who assists Coral with her pictures. And could you tell us now what person in the audience might be able to identify with the spirit picture that you're going to produce?
No, we don't understand quite how this works, but we have to make the link with the spirit and then hope that it will make sense to somebody in the audience.
I see. Well, I'm going to back off the set now and just let you do your thing.
I will try to draw someone from the world of spirit. Stephen will tune into the same spirit, and if what we're getting makes sense to one of you, will you please answer, put your hand up. Obviously got a lady coming through, a lady who makes me feel terribly, terribly short of breath. She would have suffered either with heart trouble or possibly even have passed with a chest condition. But she's showing me herself a little younger than she went to spirit. She's got lovely thick hair, which I feel in the latter part of her life was much, much thinner. Have you got any contact with her, Stephen?
I don't know if this means anything to anybody. I have heard the name of Butler given to me, B-U-T-L-E-R, but I'm not sure yet, unless I'm told, whether this is her or the person we want. I wonder if there's anybody in our audience that either holds the surname of Butler or knows that name well, please. Do we have anybody there? Do we get a voice? Are you Butler?
I am, yes.
That is your name?
Yeah.
Who is William Butler that's calling in from the other side of life? Someone that was known as William, passed over quite a while back, I've got to say. I don't know if you've heard of that name, have you? William Butler?
No, sorry.
Don't make it fit, whatever you do.
Hello, sir, there. Is this making sense to you of a lady that passed in the way I described possible heart condition, angina. I feel she went silently, quietly in her sleep after quite a bit of illness, and she brings back memories here of the war years and the bombing.
I know a man called William Butler.
Good.
Whose wife passed away with angina.
Yes.
But I've got to say that picture doesn't look like...
The picture doesn't fit with her. That's fine. Sometimes we work like that.
Right. We may have two links here.
We might have, yes. We'll do what we can to sort that out.
Everything that Stephen has said, it rings true, but unfortunately the face doesn't.
I see.
I cannot place the face.
Right.
No.
As long as the details are right, we may be able to piece it together if we can. We're working under very difficult circumstances here. We're trying our best.
Can you? Come on, sort yourselves out.
We'll try and place the face. What we normally do is try to link through and get the name of the communicator, but we can't demand that. But if you take this back to that connection, you will find you said a photograph, Coral, of this lady, and it's something to do with the bombing. So I would like to say to you, the audience, and the television station, to follow you back and have a look and see if you can place her. At least try that.
Certainly will, yeah.
Would you do that?
Will do.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Coral. Now, Coral said that the face she has drawn should mean something to somebody in our audience. Is there anybody here who can relate to this picture? Please vote if you think you recognize the face. Well, 10 people say they recognize this face, which is odd since you said, Coral, that only one person should relate to it. Perhaps this drawing is not as specific as you think? Well, thank you very much anyway, Coral and Stephen. The claims of spiritualism have been with us for years. In 1917, two young girls in Yorkshire fooled the world with these photos of fairies. One of their main supporters was the great writer Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who was a fervent spiritualist himself. And here we are by the famous waterfall at the back of the Wrights' home in Cottingley, where photograph number 1, the most important of all 5, was taken by Elsie of Francis behind the cutout. I'm taking the place of Francis. For you see, it was the waterfall that was the clue to the whole thing that should have tripped everybody off to the secret of the hoax. The waterfall in the original picture is heavily blurred because it took at least a 10-second exposure to make that photograph, while the wings of the fairies are perfectly sharp and clear, and those wings should have been fluttering very rapidly. An obvious clue, but no one spotted it.
In later life, Elsie explained how she used these illustrations from a popular children's book.
I stretched them out across the gauze and left a bit of gauze just round the waist and put the wings on, and then we cut them out.
So even someone as brilliant as Conan Doyle was taken in by these fake photos of fairies. Another of his supernatural enthusiasms was the work of spiritualists and mediums. In Conan Doyle's day, mediums tended to work in darkened rooms. Nowadays, they often perform in more cheerful surroundings. Currently one of Britain's most successful mediums, please welcome my next guest, Maureen Flynn.
Good evening, everybody. I hope to be able to make a link with someone here tonight and bring a loved one through from the world of spirit. I have been given the name of Taylor. Now, someone here tonight either is Mr. Taylor or the name of Taylor will have a close connection with you.
My mother's maiden name is Taylor.
Because you see, I have a gentleman